a vision for your life. Vision is the ability to look into the invisible and to create and to see that which does not exist.
There are times in your life when you're not going to be happy. And then what are you going to do? Your goal is demolished. And there are going to be plenty of times in your life when you're not happy. There might be years. And so it's a shallow boat in a very rough ocean.
Because we all gonna hit that wall. We're all gonna hit opposition. We're all gonna hit adversity. But I think we all know at the core, it's never about what happens to you, it's about how you respond to it. You can control that. Like, people are resilient. Like, resilient, got the fortitude. Like, you put a goal in front of them, they'll smash it, they'll chase it down. People are resilient. Like, when you put goals in front of them, they chase it, resilient. Right? And if you're resilient, you'll get whatever you're looking for if you're resilient.
What do I do when I'm broken? When I'm broken, I relish it. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna use it.
You've got to be willing to change your ways. Your life is working. If you don't like what you have produced, you're a director, you are the star, you wrote this script. You produced this, whatever it is. If it's a hit, you produced it. If it's a flop, you produced it. Take ownership of it and decide to go back to the drawing board and rewrite the script that you are the star of. You have the power to do that. On this day, you can declare that I'm going to change.
And so every single day, with whatever you do, if it's football, if it's basketball, whatever the case may be, every single day when you do it, before you approach it, ask yourself a question. Like, at the core, I'm talking about with conviction. Say, why do I really do it? But most importantly, who am I really doing it for?
If I'm broken, then I just found my limitations. And until I know what my limitations are, how can I push them?
Happiness is something that descends upon you. Everyone knows that. You know, it comes upon you suddenly, and then you should be grateful for it. What you should be pursuing instead is, well, there's two things. You should be pursuing who you could be. That'd be the first thing. It's like, because you're not who you could be, and you know it. You have guilt and shame and regret, and you berate yourself for your lack of discipline and your procrastination and all your bad habits. You know perfectly well that you're not who you could be. And God only knows who you could be. And so that's how you should be that's what you should be striving for.
When you find yourself disappointed in life, when you find yourself coming up short in life, you can either complain about it or you can choose to learn from it.
Like, I'm a firm believer that God redirects and maneuvers us when he has us on a mission. Right? And in the redirection, I think true courage is the ability to embrace what we don't understand. Because I know anybody can accept and embrace something that they do understand and that they know the end result. But I think true courage is when you find yourself in the midst of an opposition, piece of adversity or situation, and when you're in the midst of it, you're thinking, man, how did this happen and how did I get here? But you still have a certain level of perspective to say, even though I don't understand it, even though I don't like it, I can still trust God even though I can't trace God.
Because you're facing a disappointment today doesn't mean that you have to live defeated. Just because you're facing a disappointment today doesn't have to let you believe that your whole entire destiny is delayed and will never ever be reached. No, life is gonna have highs and lows, peaks and troughs.
Dedicate your life to something. Dedicate your life to a cause larger than yourself. See, if you dedicate your life to a cause larger than yourself, you're not following the crowd.
It isn't one thing. And it isn't 10 things, and it isn't 100 things. It isn't a quick path, and there are no shortcuts. Getting better isn't a hack or a trick or a one change that you need to make. Getting better is a campaign. It's a campaign. It's a daily, a weekly, it's an hourly fight.
Not out of convenience, but out of conviction. There's a purpose for me being here. There are non-negotiables in my life because I must accomplish this thing that God put me here to do.
You should be attempting to formulate some conception of the highest good that you can conceive of, that you can articulate. Because why not aim for that? It's like, your life is short, and perhaps you need to do something worthwhile with it. And if so, then you should do the most worthwhile thing.
I must move you from being to doing. I must move you from just being there and just in a place of complacement. You move from that to a compelling that is attached to your life. When I say I must, I'm under the grip of something that is greater than my own self and my own desires. When I say I must, I am a person of purpose. I must means you are overcome with something. I must means you have eliminated some things from your life. I must means there's something that I've got to do with my life. There's something I was put on this earth to do. I must means I'm living my life not out of convenience, but out of conviction.
Basically, it all begins with how we choose to think. As you think, so shall you be. 7 little words that I think are perhaps the most important things that we can learn and master in our lives. This old proverb notion that I become what I think about all day long. And once you know that what you think about is what expands, you start getting real careful about what you think about. You don't allow your thoughts to be on anything that you don't want, or that you wouldn't want to have manifest or show up for you in your life.
Okay, well, if you have some faults and you feel insecure and inferior because of that, well, you should. Now, it shouldn't be so much that you're crippled by it and unable to take action. You shouldn't be beating yourself into the ground because you're not everything you could be, because no one is. And if you beat yourself into the ground, then you can't get up and improve. But you have to differentiate. It's like, okay, to what degree am I being hard on myself? Counterproductively critical, adopting inappropriate stereotypical representations of masculine competence. How much of my self-criticism is ill-advised? Fair enough. And you want to deal with yourself with a certain amount of care. But then, along with that, there's the, well, fix your weaknesses.
Tell people there's a daily practice. Like if you get up and you just have no discipline whatsoever, you get no value of anything. Your diets don't work when you don't do them. Exercise doesn't work when you don't do them. But most of the people have some experiences that they want to shift. And once you shift those things, your whole life changes. But life is constant growth.
Everybody is motivated by 2 different things. One, you have the beautiful things in your life. The flip side of that equation are the things that it's people that doubt you. I find in very acute moments, the darkness serves you better.
How specifically am I going to achieve that goal? Like, what are the strategies and the tactics? Meaning, what are you going to do? How specifically are you going to do it? By when? I'm going to ask myself empowering questions like, how can I overcome this obstacle? What can I do to overcome this obstacle? To manage your mindset and your emotions. What are you going to do to overcome the obstacles that are in your way, whether they're mental obstacles, physical obstacles, financial obstacles, strategical obstacles, tactical obstacles? Well, yeah, if you want to achieve goals, there's a thinking, there is a feeling, and there's a behavior that gets you there.
You can't give away what you don't have. Can't give away love for others if you don't have love in here to give away. If what you have in here is contempt, if what you have in here is anger, if what you have in here is fear, then these are the things you're going to be giving away in your life.
You need a sustaining meaning that's deep and profound, and deep and profound enough to get you through bad times, because there will be very bad times in your life. There'll be death, and there'll be illness, and there'll be disappointment of all sorts. And there'll be just the standard difficulties of life in the world to contend with. And you really must have something that's profound and powerful to set up against that. And I think that your voluntary adoption of the struggle to improve being is the proper antidote to that.
Right now in most people's experience, it is me versus universe. This is how people are experiencing life. Otherwise, why continuous anxiety, fear? They think they're fighting for their life all the time. Why? They're fighting the whole universe. Individual and the universal. Being in competition with the universe is a stupid thing to do.
The thing that will make me love my life the most is to do the things that are fulfilling. And I think fulfillment has a very specific, universal formula. And that formula is work your ass off to get very good at something that you care deeply about, that allows you to serve not only yourself, but other people. That's it.
The simple thing is this, see, if your joy, your sadness, your happiness, your misery is determined by something or somebody around you, the chances of you being joyful in your life is remote.
The core of what really matters, that we are the same. And you know how I know that? Because all of us are seeking the same thing. And we'll go out into the world and each pursue based upon what you believe your talents are, what your skills are, maybe your gifts are, but you're seeking the same thing. Everybody wants to fulfill the highest, truest expression of yourself.
Deep down inside, I believe most people on the planet are heartbroken. Why? Because they have betrayed the visions, ambitions, values, mission in their heart. They have betrayed their talent.
One of the things that first comes to mind, if we were just to try to say in a few words, what's mindfulness? A very common response might be, well, it's living in the present moment. It's being in the present. So that's a pretty good beginning. You're all very aware of how much of the time we are lost in thoughts of past and lost in thoughts of future. Sometimes very little time is actually spent in the moment, because of this proliferation of thoughts. Because we can be observing experience, and we often are, through many different filters in the mind. We can be observing experience through the filter of desire. We can be observing things through the filter of anger or aversion, or through the filter of delusion, where there's just a cloudiness. We're observing, we're in that mode, but the observation is being conditioned by the particular mind state.